When you reach 70, like I have, life slows down. The days feel quieter, the house a little stiller. You find comfort in routine. Your morning coffee, your favorite chair, the sound of birds outside your window. But one thing I've learned after retirement is this: when the paychecks stop, every dollar starts to matter more. Not because we're greedy, but because we've worked hard for every cent we've got. Over the last few years, I've started paying closer attention, not just to what I spend, but to what I let slip away without noticing. And through that, I've picked up 10 small habits. Each one takes about a minute. Nothing fancy, nothing complicated, just tiny choices that have helped me quietly save over $500 every single month. No drastic lifestyle changes, no extreme couponing. Just simple awareness and old-fashioned wisdom. I'm sharing these with you today not as an expert, but as someone who's living it, one quiet, thoughtful step at a time. Habit 1. Cancel what you do not use: subscriptions, auto payments, and forgotten charges. After I retired, I noticed something strange happening with my bank account. Even though I was not spending much, my balance kept dropping a little more than I expected each month. At first, I blamed the rising cost of groceries or the electricity bill. But then, one quiet morning, my grandson Kevin sat down with me to go over my online statements. He is good with technology, unlike me. And what we found surprised us both. I was still paying for things I had completely forgotten about. A music streaming service I never used. Cloud storage I had no idea was still active. An online recipe app that I signed up for once just to try it out. And a few other tiny things that, on their own, did not look like much. $9 here, $12 there. But when we added them up, it came to over $60 a month. That is more than $700 a year. And I was getting absolutely nothing in return. These were automatic payments. They just quietly took money from my account every month. No warning, no reminder, just gone. And I would have never noticed if I had not checked. That is the thing about retirement. You are no longer earning the way you used to, so you cannot afford to let money leak out without knowing. Now, I make it a habit to check my bank statement at the beginning of each month. I set aside 5 minutes. That is it. I scan through and look for any name or charge I do not recognize. If something looks suspicious or unfamiliar, I write it down and investigate. Most of the time, it is something I can cancel with a quick phone call or a few clicks. If you are not sure how to cancel something, you can call your bank directly and ask for help. They are usually happy to walk you through it. Sometimes we forget that saying no to unnecessary spending is not being cheap. It is being mindful. It means taking care of yourself and your future. These days, I only keep the services I truly use and enjoy. Everything else, I let go. My life feels lighter. My mind feels clearer. And I no longer worry about where my money is going, because I know. This one simple habit, checking for forgotten charges, takes just a minute a month, but it has saved me hundreds of dollars and a lot of stress. Try it for yourself. You might be surprised by what you find. Habit 2. Plan your meals before you shop. Back when I was working, I never thought much about meal planning. I would stop by the store after work, pick up whatever looked good, and that was that. But after retirement, things changed. I had more time, but also a fixed income. And I started noticing how often I was throwing away food: wilted lettuce, yogurt past its date, bread that went stale. Every time I tossed something out, I felt like I was tossing out money too. It was my daughter Sarah who first suggested I try meal planning. She told me, "Dad, just take a few minutes each week to think about what you are going to eat." I shrugged it off at first. It sounded like a chore. But then I gave it a try, and to my surprise, it made a big difference. Now, every Sunday evening, I sit down with a pen and a pad of paper. I think about the week ahead. What meals do I feel like eating? What do I already have in the fridge or pantry? I write down 3 to 5 meals, simple things like chili, baked chicken, or tuna salad, and build my grocery list from there. Before I head to the store, I check the fridge and pantry again to avoid buying something I already have. No more coming home to find 3 jars of mustard and no bread. This tiny bit of planning means I only buy what I need and I use what I buy. Less waste, less guilt, and a much smaller bill at checkout. I also started posting the meal plan on the fridge. That way, I am not standing in the kitchen every night wondering what to make. It saves time, energy, and yes, money. Plus, when my grandkids visit, they love reading it and picking what they want to help cook. I estimate this habit saves me $60 to $100 each month, just from buying less and wasting less. And it gives me peace of mind. I feel more organized, more in control, and more connected to my daily life. That matters more than I expected. If you have never tried planning your meals, give it a shot. It does not have to be perfect. Just a few notes, a little intention, and 1 minute of your time. You might end up enjoying it as much as I do. Habit 3. Pause or cancel auto deliveries you no longer need. A while back, I discovered the joy of automatic deliveries. At first, it felt like a dream. Toilet paper, vitamins, laundry detergent, whatever I needed showed up at my door without me having to think about it. One less errand to run, one less thing to remember. And with discounts for subscribing, it even felt like I was saving money. But over time, those deliveries started piling up. I had more bars of soap than I could use in a year, cans of coffee I forgot I ordered, extra toothbrushes, supplements, even fiber bars that I never really liked but kept getting because I forgot to cancel. It became a cluttered mess. My hallway closet looked like a supply room. That is when I realized convenience is good, but not if it turns into waste. I sat down and reviewed every single auto delivery I had set up, mostly through Amazon. I found things arriving every 30 days that I only needed every 90. Some things I had not even opened in months. Now, once a month, I check my subscriptions. I go to the Manage Subscriptions section on Amazon and simply pause or cancel anything I do not need right now. It takes 1 minute, maybe 2. If I finish a product, I can always turn the delivery back on. But I no longer let boxes stack up just because I forgot to press a button. This habit not only clears space in my home, but also saves me $20 to $60 every month, depending on what I was over-ordering. More importantly, it reminds me that I am the one in charge of what comes into my home, not the algorithm, not the delivery truck, me. So if you have signed up for auto deliveries, take a moment to look them over. You might be surprised by how many things are still arriving without your permission. 1 minute to pause them can save you money, space, and stress. It sure did for me. Habit 4. Turn off standby power at night. It was my neighbor Frank who first told me about phantom power. That is the electricity your devices use even when they are turned off, just sitting there plugged in, waiting. I thought he was pulling my leg. I mean, if the television is off, how can it still use electricity? But Frank is a smart man. He showed me the little red light on his cable box, glowing all night. He said, "That glow is costing you money." I went home that day and started looking around my house. The microwave had a bright green clock 24 hours a day. My television had a light that never went off. The coffee maker had a digital display that blinked even when I was not using it. My chargers were always plugged in, even when there was nothing attached to them. At first, I thought, it is just a few pennies. But I did some reading and found that standby power can cost the average household up to $20 or $30 a month. That is a tank of gas. That is dinner out. That is real money. So I made a small change. Before bed, I go around the house and switch off what I can. I unplug the toaster. I turn off the power strip behind the television. I even put the microwave and coffee maker on a smart plug with a timer. They turn off while I sleep and turn back on in the morning, just in time for breakfast. It is not about being obsessive. It is about being mindful. Just like you would not leave a faucet running all night, why leave your power flowing where it is not needed? It takes me less than a minute each night, and I have noticed a real difference in my energy bill. But more than that, it makes me feel responsible. I may be retired, but I still like to feel like I am in control of something. And this one tiny habit, flipping a few switches, gives me that. So give it a try. You do not need to unplug everything. Just start with 1 or 2 devices. Over time, you will find your rhythm, and your wallet will thank you. Habit 5. Cook at home. 1 extra time each week. I still enjoy a good meal out. I go to the diner down the street every Saturday morning, and sometimes my son takes me out for barbecue when he visits. But I used to eat out 4-5 times a week. It was easy, it was quick, and it felt like a treat. The problem was, those treats added up. A simple lunch, $15. Dinner with a drink, $30 or more. Multiply that by a few times a week, and I was spending hundreds of dollars a month without realizing it. One day I looked at my credit card statement and saw I had spent over $200 on takeout and restaurant meals in just 1 month. That was a wake-up call. I did not want to give it up entirely. Eating out is part of life. But I decided to make a small shift. I committed to cooking at home just 1 more time each week. Not 5, just 1. And you know what? It was easier than I thought. I started simple: grilled cheese and tomato soup, scrambled eggs and toast, a slow-cooked pot of chili that gave me leftovers for 3 days. Cooking at home gave me something to do, something to look forward to. It made the house smell good. It gave me control over ingredients, portions, and spending. And it reminded me of the days when the kitchen was the heart of our home. Now I usually cook 2 or 3 times a week, sometimes more. Not because I have to, but because I want to. I even found a few online recipes that are now family favorites. When my grandkids come over, we cook together and it becomes a memory, not just a meal. This one tiny habit, adding just 1 home-cooked meal each week, has saved me between $40 and $80 every month. That is nearly $1,000 a year. And it brought a little joy back into my routine. If cooking feels overwhelming, start small. 1 pot, 1 pan, 1 meal. That is all it takes. Habit 6. Review your utility bills for hidden fees or mistakes. I never used to read my utility bills. They came in the mail. I opened the envelope, glanced at the total, and paid it. I figured there was not much I could do about it. But one day I was talking to my friend Jerry at the post office, and he told me about how he found a modem rental fee on his internet bill, $9.99 every month for a modem he had already bought and owned. That stuck with me. So when I got home, I pulled out my latest electric and internet bills and looked more closely than I ever had before. And there they were, charges I could not explain. A line item for equipment maintenance that I never asked for. A mysterious processing fee. Even a subscription to a home protection plan I had no memory of signing up for. I called the companies one by one. Some were honest mistakes. Others were optional services added without clear notice. In the end, I removed over $20 in monthly fees. That is $240 a year, just for paying closer attention. Now, I make it a habit to read through every line of my bills once a month. I do it with a magnifying glass if I have to. If something looks unfamiliar or confusing, I call and ask. The worst they can do is say no, but most of the time, they are willing to remove the charge or explain it better. This habit takes just a minute or 2 each month, but it has made a big difference. I no longer feel like I am blindly handing over money. I feel informed. I feel respected, and I know that if something changes on my bill, I will see it and act on it. You do not have to be a financial expert to protect your money. You just have to care enough to look. Habit 7. Reuse zip bags, containers, and jars. When I was a boy, we did not throw things away just because they were empty. We reused jam jars to hold buttons, coins, or screws. My mother washed out bread bags and used them again for lunches. It was just the way we lived. Waste was not an option, but somewhere along the way, life got more convenient. Everything became disposable. Use it once, toss it out, buy another one next week. I fell into that habit too. For a while, I would use a plastic zip bag one time and throw it away. I would recycle jars instead of repurposing them. It felt easier. Then one day, I opened the drawer in my kitchen and saw how many plastic bags I had gone through in just a month. It made me pause. I thought about how much money I was literally throwing in the trash and how often I was buying the same things over and over again. So I made a change, just a small one. Now, when I use a zip bag, I rinse it out if it is not greasy or messy. I hang it up to dry on the dish rack, and I use it again. Most bags hold up for at least 3 to 5 uses before they wear out. It takes a few extra seconds, but it saves me money and keeps my drawer from overflowing. I also started keeping glass jars again. The ones from spaghetti sauce, pickles, or peanut butter. They are great for storing rice, pasta, leftovers, or even bolts and nails in the garage. I cleaned off the labels and lined them up on the shelf. There is something satisfying about seeing everything neatly stored and knowing I did not spend a dime on containers. This habit saves me a few dollars each week, not a fortune, but it adds up over time. More importantly, it gives me a sense of purpose. It reminds me of my roots and of the values I grew up with. Use what you have. Be thoughtful. Waste less. If you are new to this, start small. Choose one bag to rinse. Keep one jar instead of throwing it out. You will be surprised how quickly it becomes second nature. And it feels good, like you are doing something smart and kind at the same time. Habit 8. Always ask for the price upfront before any service or repair. A few years ago, my back porch door started sticking. It squeaked every time I opened it, and eventually it would not close all the way. I decided to call a local handyman to come take a look. Nice guy, friendly, showed up right on time. He fiddled with the hinges, sanded down the edges, and oiled the lock. An hour later, the job was done, and then he handed me the bill. $180. I was stunned. I had not asked for a price before he started, and he had not offered one. I paid it, but it left a bad taste in my mouth. Not because the work was bad, but because I had no idea what I was agreeing to. That was the last time I let anyone work on something without asking the cost first. Now, every time I need something fixed, plumbing, yard work, appliance repair, I ask one simple question before they begin. Can you give me a rough estimate of the cost? Most people are happy to do it. They will tell you what they charge by the hour or give you a range. If they refuse, that tells me something right away. If someone cannot give me a basic estimate, I politely thank them and move on. I also started comparing prices. I will call 2 or 3 people if I can. Even if I do not end up choosing the cheapest one, I go into it feeling informed. And that makes a big difference in how I feel about spending the money. This habit has saved me hundreds of dollars and even more peace of mind. There is nothing worse than feeling like you were taken advantage of, especially when you are on a fixed income. It takes just 1 minute to ask for a price. That is all. And that 1 minute can protect your wallet and your pride. Do not be afraid to speak up. You're not being difficult. You're being wise. Habit 9. Open the windows before you turn on the heat or air conditioning. One morning last spring, I woke up early and walked into the kitchen. It was cool outside, the kind of crisp morning air that makes you feel awake and calm at the same time. But as I reached for the thermostat, I paused. Did I really need to turn on the heater? Or could I just open a window? That small moment turned into a new habit. Now, whenever the weather allows, I open the windows first before using the heater or the air conditioner. You would be surprised how much difference a breeze can make, especially in the morning or evening. Growing up, we did not have central air or fancy climate systems. We used fans, we opened windows, we dressed for the weather, not against it. I had forgotten how refreshing natural air could be, not just for the body, but for the spirit. Using less heating and cooling has lowered my monthly energy bill by at least $10 to $40 depending on the season. But more than the savings, it has made me more in tune with my home and the world outside. I notice the change in the seasons more. I feel connected to the rhythm of the day. Of course, this habit will not work for everyone. If you live somewhere with extreme temperatures, safety comes first. But for many of us, there are hours in the day, especially early or late, when nature provides exactly what we need, free of charge. Try this. Before you reach for the thermostat, step outside for 10 seconds. Feel the air. If it is comfortable, open a window. Let the breeze in. Your lungs will thank you, and so will your wallet. Habit 10. Share or borrow instead of buying new. A few summers ago, I needed a ladder to clean out the gutters. Mine had gone rusty, and honestly, it felt too shaky for me to trust anymore. I went online to look for a new one, and I was just about to spend over $100 when I thought, wait a minute, I bet someone I know already has one. So I called Joe, my neighbor across the street. We wave at each other most mornings, but do not talk too much beyond that. I asked, Joe, do you have a ladder I could borrow for an afternoon? Without missing a beat, he said, of course, come grab it anytime. Just like that. That one small favor saved me money, sure. But more than that, it started something. After that, we began lending things back and forth. He borrowed my hedge trimmer. I used his wheelbarrow. Sometimes we even swapped books or extra veggies from the garden. It brought a sense of connection I had not felt in a while. We live in a time when it is easy to just click and buy whatever we need. But back in the day, we borrowed. We asked, we shared, and doing that again now feels not just smart, but right. Here is what I do now. Anytime I need something, I will only use once or twice. A tool, a small appliance, a book. I ask around first, my neighbors, my church group, even my daughter's family. Most people are happy to help, and many are glad to lend something that would otherwise sit gathering dust. I have also given a few things away. An extra coffee maker, a blanket I never used. It feels good to let things go to someone who needs them, rather than throwing them away. This habit has saved me anywhere from $20 to $50 a month, depending on what comes up. But beyond the money, it builds something far more valuable, community. A feeling that we are not alone, that we can rely on one another, even for small things. And let me tell you, when you are retired, that kind of connection means everything. So next time you need something, pause before pulling out your wallet. Ask someone. Offer something in return. You might save money, sure, but you might also build a friendship, a life built on quiet wisdom. So there you have it, 10 tiny habits that take about a minute each, but together, they have helped me quietly save over $500 every month in retirement. More importantly, these habits have helped me feel more present in my daily life. They have brought me peace, pride, and a sense of control. They have reminded me that being retired does not mean stepping back from life. It means learning how to live it with more intention, more clarity, and more care. I did not change everything at once. I started with one habit, then another. Slowly, they became part of my routine. Now they are just how I live. No stress, no fuss, just small choices that add up over time. If you are feeling overwhelmed, just start with one. Pick the one that speaks to you the most. Give it a try. You might be surprised how good it feels to take charge of the little things again. And if something I shared today helped you, I would love to hear about it. What tiny habit has made a difference in your life after retirement? Leave a comment or share it with someone who might need it. We are all figuring this out together, one step at a time. And if you enjoyed this conversation, feel free to stay a while. I have many more stories and reflections to share. Quiet lessons from a quieter life. Until next time, take care of yourself. You have earned it.